welcome everyone to this like modern live stream. We're speaking everything around A004, 402, everything around the agentic economies. And today I'm hosting this session with James. We have this special guest, Billy, on a super pressure moment. We appreciate really the fact that you came here on this extra kind of like squeeze timing. A lot of things are happening, but let's start with a quick round of intro. James, you wanna go first?
Yeah, I am James Young, co-founder of Collabland, also working on a project called Mother, where intuition is integral in what we're doing. And I am just in the shadow of Francesco here as the, I guess, co-host or partner sidekick of this stream. So thank you, Francesco.
Excited. Yeah, appreciate it. You also like the cap, the ETH NYC shirt. You remind me so many cool moments. That's awesome. Let's do it.
I real quick, I only have a purple Dodgers hat, so I had to find a purple shirt that matched because this is a very special live stream. So I came dressed up.
Nice. Did you hear that, Billy? I think a lot of people know you already, but you want to quickly introduce yourself, intuition, but also like how you came in the space, why you care so much, and how are things those days?
Yeah, happy to. Hey everyone, I'm Billy. Been in the space since 2012. Been involved with Ethereum since 2014. Did a bunch of things over that time. Helped start the blockchain consulting practice at Ernst & Young. Was their tech lead for a while, then moved over to Consensus, where I was full-time for 5 years, 3 years as a special advisor. The reason, that was a really good question. Like the reason why I care so much about all of this is because just like the power dynamics of society are kind of broken, and by being on kind of the inside of some of the big institutions, I kind of saw how broken it was and how unsalvageable it was. And all of that made me realize that like we kind of have to build a new parallel system from the bottom up. Like we don't have to fight a war. We don't have to do the, the 10-year, $100 million migration of the system. It's like, oh no, like we can just build a better system from the ground up. And so that's what I've been doing pretty much my whole career. Like most of my career has just been in crypto, trying to build this parallel, decentralized system to kind of not compete with, but just kind of provide a better alternative option so that, as the current structure, we're starting to see the chinks in the armor right now, I think, with like the way things are currently structured in society. And as the pieces start to fall, as they seemingly are starting to fall now, we need to be ready with something else. Like we need to be ready with an alternative solution that people can look to. And it's like, as dollars hyperinflate and financial system collapses and its inevitability, like it's going to happen. And so we need to be ready to like accept everyone into this new system. And so that's why just like since the beginning, I've had this deep sense of urgency with respect to everything we do, where it's like I work every single day so hard, like not because I need to for a long time, but it's like because we need to, like everyone needs to. It's like if we don't do this, I don't like what the world looks like. It just like could get very dystopian very fast, and I'm afraid of that future, and want everyone to like be happy and live a good life. And so like I think just all the stuff that there's two groups in crypto, or there, like, I mean there's many groups, but there's like the speculative casino, and then there's like the real crypto anarchists, like people in it for the right reasons, building really important things for the world. And the latter oftentimes gets extremely dwarfed by the former, because the former is very loud. But like we've got our little bastion of hope of like actual builders building real things, and very grateful to have so many like great allies in this fight like you guys. But yeah, it's just very important that we're doing what we're doing. So that's kind of, I guess, why I'm here. I didn't even introduce intuition. I guess I could do that.
This
Yeah.
is more important. Uh,
So I'll keep it super quick because I know we got limited time. So intuition, I think, is one of those critical pillars that no one else was building. And I was like, crap, okay, somebody's got to build it. I guess I'll roll up my sleeves and do it myself. So basically, we have been really successful in decentralizing money and finance in crypto. But what I think is equally as important to decentralize is information, because whoever controls information controls the entire world. And if you look at the whole Web2 ecosystem right now, the way that we discover information is totally centralized. Like, you have to go through an intermediary. Just like before you had to go through an intermediary for finance, now you have to go through intermediaries for information. So you have to go through the lens of the algorithm. On, like, you have to go through platforms, and then you have to go through their algorithm, and all the algorithms are biased and they all have some sort of objective. And so you see what they want you to see, and you don't see what they don't want you to see. And in this agentic future that's very quickly emerging, that's so dangerous. Like, it's more dangerous than ever before. Like, if you were in like library days and it was books, you were doing your own research, at least you were like using your discernment. But now people are just prompting AI, and they're taking what they get back as the truth. And imagine someone controlling what is truth, or like controlling, what you can buy, not from the money perspective, but from what you can find perspective. Like, let's say you say, hey, give me the 5 best office chairs, or give me the 5 office chairs that I can buy. And maybe the AI agent only gives you the options that have paid the AI platform the most. And then your options are limited. So it's like, they can control history, they can control what you buy, they can control what you think. So information cannot be centralized. Like, the way that we discover stuff online, it has to be, it is imperative that it is decentralized. Otherwise, again, we're going to descend into this crazy dystopia, and it's happening so fast already. So there's just, like, again, deep sense of urgency. Like, anyone listening, please help build. We need all the builders we can get to like do this stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. I'll stop ranting now.
oh, this is
I,
good.
I
Yeah.
love that. I think that this actually is really informative. And Billy, when you're saying we need to decentralize information, we have decentralized transactions, I think it's really interesting, because then you talk about decentralized platforms and the urgency we need to be able to decentralize. Why? Because this is the only way that we can scale trust, where you don't have these intermediaries. And what I've learned, because I've been in crypto for a while as well, and there's just a lot of trust in the kind of OG values aligned perspective, because you called out rightfully so, a lot of people have this concept of crypto is just all about relation. And what we're doing is we're scaling trust, and we've known each other for many years, and now we're just trying to bring this out into the world. So it's really, the cliche really rings true. It's really the friends we made along the way. And I think what we're trying to do is scale that now. And 8004, X402, this alignment that we're seeing, because now we understand that the market is now ready to be able to receive this, because of the macro climate that you eloquently described, Billy. So it's very fitting, and the time is now.
And I feel also like people are more aware that social coordination is becoming like a much more important layer. And part of like the social coordination challenge is actually like trust attestation and proof of actually like specific action. And I think having a specific kind of like trust assumption, and every business, every use case has a social coordination layer. And I think it's super interesting because we're literally building the fundamentals right now, on a payment coordination, on a social coordination. There are so many things. But maybe like James, you want to dive deep a bit also on this kind of like partnership slash collaboration through kind of like, Mother and kind of like intuition, because scaling trust is hard, right? And need to be done also like the right way, and very Web3 rail aligned.
Yeah. So let me start from the very kind of root of this to set some context. The idea is we need to scale trust. The only way to scale trust or to grow trust is through compounding. And that's why trust is so fragile. When you're just starting with trust, it's so easy to break. So you do a couple things, you earn some trust, but one action could totally nullify that trust among peers. And so you need this compounding trust. People call it reputation because trust either grows or diminishes over time. I think it's a technical issue to solve. And a lot of people call this reputation. But in order to begin this reputation form of identity. So in 8004, there are 3 registries that are defined. There is an identity registry, there's a reputation registry, and there's a verification registry. Now, when we were working with Mother, we had the same kind of outline, but this was before 8004 came together. So we've been working and have been prepared. And now with Mother, we are able to implement these 3 sub-registries. These 3 sub-registries are what we're calling as an umbrella, the Mother registry. So with these 3 sub-registries, we need to start with identity, because you can't have reputation and you can't build trust unless you have some form of identity. So what we're working with intuition, and this is just kind of perfect timing, is that with 8004, we're using intuition as our or identity registry. Because before with Mother, I was thinking about this as a binary list, like a TCR. I co-wrote the white paper for TCRs. Billy informed me, and he's just kind of off candidly just said, why don't you just use intuition? Why we have a whole social graph with the claiming and all of this. And I was like, holy shit, it just blew my mind. And so we have that implemented. And so with this, we are able to, from a Collabland perspective, bootstrap a lot of communities by putting them on intuition. So we have community identity, and we have that working right now. And then we're going to then move on to this reputation registry. And this is where it gets really interesting. But I don't want to re-centralize reputation and identity, as Billy eloquently said. I don't want to be another platform. This is where intuition also comes in. You get to see the raw data, and then from that, build the own algorithms based off of the signal that you want to promote. And with Mother, we're going to, excuse me, in the reputation registry, aggregate all these different reputation providers and just curate like a reputation score. The problem with reputation is you need identity, but the problem with identity is you need to bootstrap it at scale. And this is the advantage I believe we have, because we have over 50,000 Collabland communities. And so we can bootstrap this with intuition. This is why everything that's happening with MCP, with A to A, with AP2, with 8004, with X402 is just kind of all locking in now. And we don't have to wait for the market to catch up. It actually is here, and it's happening really fast. When we started Mother at the beginning of the year, none of these protocols existed. And we were struggling at Mother with trying to define that standard. So I feel so appreciative and grateful that the big institutions have defined these protocols. So we don't have to go into standardization hell. You know, it takes years to create standards. These standards emerge, have been adopted. within a year, which is quite fascinating to see. And so we're leveraging that and super excited, along with just the timing of it with the intuition TGE coming up. I think that we are building into the market, the momentum that's happening. And you need, whether it's called momentum or compound interest or whatever, like it's still the same kind of idea here. And this is how we then are have the opportunity, we have the chance, as Billy was saying, to be able to begin scaling trust and building in public and working together. So now that with the 8004 identity sub-registry complete and working, we can now offer this reputation registry. And so we're working with another provider that also actually in a very similar situation as Intuition has all the pieces for this reputation registry to work. And then when it comes to the verification sub-registry will feed into the reputation registry, because reputation is not something that is static. It needs to evolve over time. And so with the verification, that helps provide signal of whether or not you want to trust an agent or not. So we're getting into this brand new design space, which is really exciting. And at the beginning of 2025, I was like, okay, this is going to take 2-3 years to work. But now we're here close to the end of 2025. And it just seems like the design space for this is just ripe. So I'm super excited about this unlock that is about to happen.
James, I've got a question for you, and also we've got TGE coming up in T minus less than 24 hours, so I need to go in 5 minutes to handle infinite things. But what for people listening, when we realize the final form of what you're describing, like what does the world look like? Like how do for the end user, like what is their experience? What are the feelings they're having? Like how does this help kind of like people's everyday lives, and why should they care about all this stuff?
I think in a world where AI produces so much slop and so much noise, the assumption is that no longer look to the internet and assume something to be factual. You're going to assume that everything on the internet is false. So it needs to be verified, there needs to be reputation, and that there needs to be identity involved. So what the world looks like is the ability for users ultimately to choose their own algorithm of how they perceive the world. It's a technical problem because, as you were originally, and we have all these different platforms, they shape via algorithms the lens of how you interact online. Now, as a user, you can actually create, and the end game is bring your own algorithm, which means like your digital twin, your own personal agent, which is different than these agents that you hire, will be able to be more true to you and your incentives. So you can easily move through the online world and connect with people faster and more effectively. I don't believe AI, this AGI, is this all-knowing Skynet. AI is just another automation tool that we've been automating along the way. I mean, I think of it in the context of like the Industrial Revolution through technology and automation. And the Industrial Revolution actually changed society. It is what led to the modern city because people had to move and physically be close to proximity of a factory. That actually had a bearing on society in terms of how the modern school system now works. So technology leads society. And so it's this experiment now. If you control your own algorithms, what is the effect on society at a larger level? And these are the interactions. From a Collabland perspective, I want to meet users where they are. where they're at. It's hard to get a wallet. It's hard to know crypto. It's hard to onboard. Easy for the mass to be able to join a Discord server. So we need to onboard users where they're at. And this is why it's super exciting to put the beginnings of information. We want to make sure that we don't dox users coming from a collab land perspective, because privacy is one of our foundational and kind of fundamental values. So we want to be careful here because we're exploring new territory. And with that, we want to make sure that we keep the value of empowering the user in place. But I see a world where you have your digital twin being able to navigate based off of what you want as a user to do. That's not filtered through these platforms, and it's just going to be empowering. This opens up the ability for people then to interact with each other and build and understand reputation online. It really doesn't exist. The Yelps of the world, the liking and the reposting is a very poor signal, especially for financial transactions, putting your money where your mouth is. So there's another level of interaction that we're trying to address now.
And I also
I hope
think,
that answered the question.
yeah, I want to add, James, but social reputation is so important, like especially what you're saying on AI, like the social track record, not just for code, people kind of like, forking, like it's our responsibility to also like, how do you say, have users trusting a process that has actually a track record with it. Meaning also like, could be services, could be performance, but, they're not coming out of the blue. They're actually like tracked and performed. So I
Yeah,
think,
and
yeah.
I think that's why meme coins, creator coins, all of these fall flat right now. And all you can do is speculate because you can't build from that because the tooling hasn't been there before. But now we have it.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's super exciting. And I think now we can have an opportunity to change the kind of zeitgeist of crypto from pure speculation. That will always exist. I'm not saying that that will go away, but we have an opportunity because we're values aligned to be able to actually create the world that we want to see and why we got this, why we got it in the first place.
Yeah.
A lot of people have over the years dropped out and we're just, I guess, insane enough to stick with it.
Yeah, we're definitely insane. I do have to hop here, guys. I really appreciate it. I want to keep going for 5 more hours. Like, let's please do this again, like on the other side of
Yes.
VE. But like like if you guys, I don't know if you guys are going to keep going, so I'll just leave. I will exit with this comment. Like, everything is social consensus, all the way down. Like if you don't understand that concept yet, like please read the intuition white paper that I wrote that like goes into way too much depth about this. But literally everything is social consensus. Even math is social consensus. We say, okay, like these symbols are going to represent like these natural phenomenon. And then we just come to social consensus. We say, yes, like we're all going to agree that like this number equals this. Same for crypto. Nothing's trustless, quote unquote. Like it's trustless in the sense that like we all come to consensus on the single state of the ledger. But like even something touted as immutable or permissionless, like trustless as crypto, even that is social consensus. If you just look at it all the way down, if you boil every single thing down, it's all social consensus. And things that you have like, God, I want to keep riffing on this, but like things that are intrasubjective consensus. So like only you believe, if you believe something that is divergent from the social consensus, then you're insane. And then if you believe something that is divergent from the social consensus, and then the social consensus accepts that idea as intersubjective consensus, then you're a genius and you saw it first. And so like quite literally everything is just social consensus. It's like I'm perceiving reality right now. And if I was like seeing something in front of me that all the people around me were not seeing, I would be insane. So even our reality is social consensus to an extent. So I don't know how that's related. Like just but like I just want to point that out.
It's good. Yeah.
I gotta hop. I love you guys. Let's do this again
Thank you
soon.
for your time, Billy. I really appreciate it. I know you're
Appreciate
super
it.
busy, so really appreciate you spending this time with
Of
us.
course. Thank you guys. And to
Thank you so
community
much.
members who are like waiting on things, like I'm trying my best. I'm moving at light speed and not sleeping. So we're doing everything we can if you're listening. Thank you guys. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Billy. Good luck. Bye bye. No,
Yeah,
that's
I
great.
just want to I just want to
Mhm,
riff a little bit. Now Billy is gone. Maybe he'll
mhm,
listen to the recording afterwards.
mhm,
But I agree with Billy in terms of everything ultimately is social consensus, and math is the language for us to imbue that social consensus. I think that what I've learned in crypto, being in crypto for all these years, I thought that it was about coordination. Um, but with Collabland, for example, we were able to coordinate token holders, and we were able have been able to do that for almost 6 years with tens of thousands of communities. Um, what I've come to learn is now we need to unlock this next phase. Coordination is necessary, but not sufficient.
mm,
What we need, a better word, is coherence. We need alignment. And this is where trust, reputation, and everything come into play. Who are you coherent with? And this is where the kind of what Billy was talking about, these outliers, uh, the going against the social norm, is really how innovation happens. If you look throughout history, it's all the people that the norms, right? Whether it's the Wright brothers when it comes to flight, whether it's Edison when it comes to electricity, these inventions were outside the social norm. You need to be outside the social norm and experiment with these ideas. And this is what I think really is going to be unlocked with mother intuition and all these standards. That is the why behind all of this, because innovation can only really happen when there is an outside perspective that challenges the social norms. With just coordination, you're just adhering to the norms that are happening right now. There's no coherence to be able to challenge those social norms. Math is a language online that we use to express this outside perspective, and where um, we can now understand how to really mix in reputation. That's why I say that this is actually a technical problem to solve. The
mhm,
social
mhm.
coordination issue is a technical problem that is solvable. And that is ultimately the bet here.
Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, I agree. I even taking notes, James. I think like I will write something around zeitgeist, social consensus, and kind of like trust alignment. I understand also the point around how social coordination is an instrument, but it's also like a base to actually get into the trust
Yeah.
layer. So this is a really good point, right? And I mean, I'm always thinking about, it's like decision making 101, right? Every time that you are actually making decision, everything is kind of a decision. Everything is kind of like a relationship based decision, no matter who and what is the situation of your stakeholder. So this is a very interesting kind of like conversation because yeah, everything is kind of like tapping down. And in order to move forward with those decisions, first you need to have a track record, but you also need to have a track record that also users and consumer of whatever product you're having can transparently understand performance, history, like owners and kind of like stakeholder before. So I think like in order to build this kind of like next phase, you need to have this kind of like trust foundation, and social layer is one of the instruments. So it's a very fascinating topic, right? Because you also give us like an opportunity to actually build an ecosystem that is truly um, like like defending really the how do you say user right to consume data in the right way with a proper track record. And this is the same with the agent. That's why also like people meme like from meme coiner. So we see all everything is moving now to prediction markets, for example.
Mhm.
uh, it's the same things, like people trust um, services that have a specific track record, but this track record has been always been run on a, let's say untransparent, imperfectionist way, without actually putting a user-centric approach. And it's hard, right? But I think with the proper instrument, the proper foundation, there is so many use cases that can be enabled out of this.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I think if you assume that AI is just an automation tool,
Hmm.
how can humans uh, use it to amplify what they're doing?
Hmm.
So for me, the question is, it all comes down, as Billy was saying, to social coordination. But us as humans, we have limits. So there are things called like the Dunbar number, where you can only have like 150 friends or contacts, and you just max out from a brain capacity perspective. And that 150, 200 number is seen in organizations when you think about the military or you think about startups. Like at 150, 200, it like organizations need to create these proxies because us as humans, we can't manage all those connections. So if we allow the user to then have sovereignty and you only have this kind of hardwired human limit of 150, how do we use AI to help scale and amplify it? And so this is where the reputation comes into play, where it serves as a proxy that you define so that you can scale better this 150 connections. So that's really interesting. I think that this goes beyond just crypto and AI because ultimately this is about social coordination. So
Oh
you
yeah.
kind of have to get back to first principles when it comes to, okay, how do people coordinate? And I've done some deep dives in terms of organization and organizational history, what makes good organizations thrive, like an Amazon under Bezos. Does it need to be centrally led, top down by a leader? Are there examples of this kind of social coordination when you're given autonomy? And there are a few examples of this. And I think there's going to be a lot of research that comes from this as well. And that will help us kind of ground ourselves in terms of like, how do we then know from a reputation perspective, like what that score means when it comes to like trust? And everyone's going to have their different perspectives because they come to the table with different trust assumptions. So this is what we're going to begin to unpack. And we're doing it at a time where the macro climate, I think, is more favorable for us. The technology is there, the standards are there. So it's a really exciting playground for us. And we are doing this not, we're doing this beginning with bootstrapping Collabland community. So we're doing this at somewhat at scale. So when it comes to
Yes.
if you take off all the tech and all the philosophical hat and you put on just the product hat, uh, a lot of people miss, especially those that are younger that are coming from and only know about Web3, that distribution actually really matters when it comes to product. And so we don't have to fight necessarily the distribution game through Collab. And that's why it's so exciting. Like all these things are kind of coming together now, and we can really experiment and try to do things without having to then wait and market and hype and build up distribution pipeline. We have it. So I think we're one step ahead. And I'm really wanting to focus in on this ability to scale trust.
I'm so excited, and I think what you're describing here on a philosophical level is also like human dynamics. That social coordination has been always been there, right? And on a human-centric way, relationship are also based on kind of like like a human consensus, right? You trust someone because of this action, his kind of like track record, and you how you accurately verify that is through third party. third party. Human dynamics is obviously like a third party person, third party kind of, and I think this is kind of like the next level when you can't actually have human interaction. Agent interaction will be based on that and need to be fully transparent. And on the product, that is I think is the same. And I think definitely like this is a need that is also coming because of different history events, right? So it's not just this is foot of thought and this is just theory. This is coming because of like a lot of kind of like decentralization, but also like a discussion around from social dynamics to kind of like human behaviors to even like there, again, what you said is just beyond AI, or it's just a technology next level um, around building a society that is actually like protecting a consumer of a service. And I think it's something that is happening right now. I mean, what Billy also was explaining around trust, I think it's just matter of time that people really understand that no matter what direction you're taking, there is a trust attestation that need to be kind of like preserved. Collabland, I mean, you're driving this space for a long time around social coordination and more. And I think it's something that, and those are all kind of like instruments to give, I think like, yeah, I think like a consumer, like not just new new how do you say track record like points to make a decision, but also having specific and transparent instruments for agents. For example, we're speaking about payment to pay, like agent to agent interaction. Payment obviously is one of the main use case, but also like even if you figure out payments, you still need to understand is a buy and sell market, is a two-side
Yep.
market. So you will have 1,000 agents and 1,000 agents providing and giving the same service. Which agent will interact with which criteria? So right now on the 402, we are solving the payment mechanism around agent and endpoint standardization, but we are not still solving the fact how actually like agent will choose what
Mm-hmm.
agent to provide the service, because this is a two-side market. And right now, if you think about Uber, all the two-side market behavior are based on ratings that physical people are giving. And I think
Mm-hmm.
like on agents will be very interesting because the true track record are on-chain track record
Yeah.
that can be verified.
Yeah.
So so there you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. I think you make a really great point, because it's so easy to just stay in the philosophy section, but philosophy and values don't matter if you don't put them into practice. Like, who cares if you were just
Exactly.
talking all this like stuff of this ideal world? Like, you need to put that into practice right away. So the specifics that you're talking about with payments, X402, 8004, and all these other standards that I mentioned before actually help us now put into practice and not have to convince others about the values that those practices stem from. The values and why we're doing this is necessary but not sufficient. You must put it into practice.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the meaning of being a philosopher. It's not just reasoning out in your theoretical ivory tower. It's actually grinding and putting it into practice day to day. And that's what we're doing with Mother. So I'm really excited about it, because
Yeah.
now we get to see what the implementation can look like. And we need to build that foundation. So we have the identity registry. We're working through a naive implementation. We know it will be wrong at first in terms of like the reputation registry, but you got to do it wrong in order to learn how to do it right. That's the design space that we're opening up. And then we have an answer to the verification registry. And I won't leak it out right now, but there's some very, very exciting stuff that we're working with Mother when it comes to this sub registry. So the Mother registry is this combination of what we're doing with identity, reputation, and verification, adhering to and aligning ourselves with the 8004 standard. And so you're going to be able to implement this in practice. Why? Well, intuition is having their TGE, and you'll be able to understand the mechanism design of the token as it's unfolding here as we build out all of these sub registries. But you need identity first. That's the first one. You can't work
Yes.
on these other registries unless you have this identity first. So we have that. Now we're moving on to reputation and verification in parallel. So we have reputation. We'll probably have, this is just like a plug for Mother. We'll have some UIs based off of the intuition registry and how we perceive what that data signal is like, to showcase people can use intuition, but at the same time showcase kind of how we're thinking about reputation when it comes to mothers, based off of this value foundation of what's the point. It's to scale trust. Trust can only
Yes.
scale through compound interaction over time.
Yes, agree. I think like, yeah, this is a great also like, closing points, putting philosophy into practice. I
Yeah.
think, there are so many kind of like have a conversation. There is not enough actually like, nitty gritty, specific conversation around how we're putting this more granular into practice with actionable insights. I think there was a big wave around attestation with the EAS, Verax. There was a lot of things, but I think this didn't move a lot because also one thing that I've always challenged a bit is, similar to how people perceive privacy is not kind of like sexy, or it's the same with like attestation and social coordination. Until you need it, like you actually like build it. And I think, right now, especially this push around agentic economy, are actually needing an infrastructure like that. And I think then is expanding more around also like physical and social interaction and human dynamics. But I think there is no way that agent coordination can work without a trust and social layer. So I mean, Jane, thanks so much also for, like for all the work that you've been putting on and the pioneering this. And I think we definitely need to have like a part two also with Billy, post kind of like
Yeah.
everything like. Intuition. But again, awesome live stream. Really enjoyed it and learned a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really appreciate this, Francesco, because this is very hard and very much unknown. And this is where it's like, for me, like I want to surround myself with people that are values aligned, because there is a fun aspect to this. Just doing this with people that you enjoy working with. And I think that helps get through the low points, the low times. And this is how trust is built. And we've built this trust over many years. And what we're doing is we're just trying to amplify that trust and bring it out to others as well. This is how we're scaling trust. So we're living this. We didn't know. And when I met Billy, and I think it was like 2016. So it was, wow, almost, wow. It's been many years. So like that trust has been built up. And what we're trying to do now is use it and work together. This is, we have to live it and then actualize it. And ultimately,
Yes.
what I'm trying to say is, and this is why it comes back to like, it's about the friends that we made along the way, because shit gets hard and it's scary. And you need to always make sure that, in order to be able to kind of combat those times, you just got to make sure that you're having fun along the way. So
Yes.
this is the human part of it that is not technical. And so I appreciate these live streams, being able to work together, Francesco, because this is trust building in and of itself.
Agree.
Because I get so much out of it, and I'm hoping that I provide some useful information as well, so that you get something out of it. It's just like, essentially like a tit for tat, where this is how trust is built, through this tit for tat kind of back and forth. And then you're getting something out of it, so you're willing to give more. I get something out of it, I'm willing to give more. And this is how trust is built. These
Yes.
are the kind of core primitives. How do we imbue that tit for tat and the reputation mathematically in an immutable way?
And translate these to actually like agent and agentic economies.
That's right.
Sounds good. Awesome. Again, thank you so much, James. Appreciate the time. And Billy, if you're hearing this post recording, let's have a part two for sure. And thanks everyone for listening and asking and responding and commenting a bunch of questions in the chat. Awesome. Thanks everyone.
Awesome.